mentioned injuries. Luckily, the rib thing has been gone and
Nice.
at least at bay now for a while. And the way that I managed that was I love to squat and I love to deadlift. I squat 3 times a week at a minimum, 3 times a microcycle sometimes, like in that hard week, right? I deadlift twice a week. And the way that I manage it is I really narrowed it down to what aggravates it and how much of that aggravates it. So for example, low bar squat will start to bother that rib. And so if I do like a low bar squat once a week, and then a high bar squat once a week, and then some sort of an accessory squat, usually that's that power day that I talked about, where I'm reducing sets through the block with heavy but manageable loads that are like 2 reps, so multiple sets of 2 reps, right? And then combine sumo deadlift and alternate that with my trap bar deadlift. I can do what I want to do. I have fun with it. I love it. I enjoy it. And there's no rib issue, at least to speak of. Now, I did get a little bit of a shoulder aggravation, and it basically came from using the Swiss bar. Jeff was nice enough to give me an extra Swiss bar, and using that once a week, it gave me a little shoulder issue. And it's a shoulder issue that I've had before, kind of laterally, posteriorly, deltoidish, but probably more supraspinatus or something like that. But thank goodness for Nick Licamelli, who's been on your podcast before.
Yes.
Because his insight has been invaluable in not only myself treating little pains and injuries and things like that, but then also aiding in me being able to help others, And the way that I managed that is I really didn't change too much, but I would bend it because I really felt it in overhead pressing and in benching. So with overhead pressing, I had to get rid of it. And I had to do the deltoid work with a lot of upright rows, laterals, things like that. And then the benching, interestingly enough, I would just do enough benching until I would just feel it. And then basically I would either stop and go to something else, or I would just lighten it up and I get the volume work in that way. Because it's amazing how your body will build resilience. If you just keep kind of pushing that, okay, now I can do a little bit more to make it hurt, and then back it off, go away from it, and then next time, tiny bit more, and then it makes it hurt. And then over the weeks, kind of just kept pushing it out, now it's gone. So
wow. So it's the tolerance has gone up.
Correct. Because it's interesting. I learned not only through Nick, but through other physical therapists. They don't really necessarily cure anything, but they help your body build resilience. And the analogy that one of the physical therapists said that was really, really good is like if you have a fear, say, of spiders, and you're deathly afraid of spiders, well, you're not just going to walk up to a terrarium and look at some big tarantula,
No.
You start with a picture. You start with a picture on the wall, all the way across the wall of a spider. And then you just kind of keep moving toward that spider, that picture, until you're basically right up next to it. And you can look at it, and then now we put a real spider in a terrarium on that wall, but you move back, and then you just kind of slowly start moving toward that terrarium until you're right up looking at that spider. And then you take the spider out of the terrarium, but you move back again, and then you kind of start moving forward, and you overcome your fear of spiders that way. And that's kind of the analogy that I've learned when it comes to dealing with pain, right up until the point that where you have to have some sort of intervention through surgery or something like that.
After 5 years of training, and I think this was brought up also on the Brains and Gains podcast that you did with Dave McConey, I believe you say his last name.
Yep.
And I thought this was interesting. I wanted to bring it up. After 5 years of training, pretty much your gains are done.